Hello and welcome to Keep On Cybertruckin, a podcast where Cybertruck owners share their experiences, talk about all things EVs and technology. My name's Eric. We have RoboCyberWill with us and Chase.
I couldn't pick one.
I know we keep commenting on Will's backgrounds, but I have to say it's getting sexier and sexier every episode.
It keeps changing.
Yeah. I mean, right now...
We live in a wonderful time where it's like, you know, just with a little remote control and a press of a button, you can like change the colors of your background. It's not going to work for me right now, of course, but you know,
nothing works when you want it to
pink.
work.
This one now's blue. I mean, come on now.
It's. I don't know. I know it's getting colder, so not today. Today was a warm day.
No,
right?
but like next week's going to be great. I think it's going to drop back down. Oh.
It's all relative. We really can't talk.
Fall. So ready for fall.
I know.
It's the same for you guys as it is down here. It's like fall is like 60s. It's like I've got coworkers who...
chilly. We get some daytime chilly days. I mean, where I am with the wind chill, I've seen it as low as like upper 40s.
Yeah. What I don't like though, it still even happens today. Like during the daytime, it's perfect. It's like 70s is great, and then like just like clockwork, even in the summer. It's the hottest point at like 5 p.m. because like we're so far south, close to the equator, where it's like it heats up all day, and then 5 is the worst, and then it finally starts getting colder like after the sun goes down. But it stays hot a long time.
And isn't it funny because I don't know, maybe when we were kids or whatever, I remember it was always like midday was when it was the hottest. You know, 12, 1, 2 o'clock. Now it's like at 5 o'clock, exactly what you're saying, Chase. Like at 5 o'clock, it's like scorching hot. It's like, what happened to like midday? Usually by 5 it should be cooling down. That's what you would think, right? But
I don't know, the Cybertruck happened. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It just threw off the whole universe.
The metal is pulling the geomagnetic thermal whatever yada science.
Yeah, watch Chase,
yada science.
Cyberstuck is listening to every word we say, so get that, and they're going to put that all over. If
you say their name subreddit 3 times,
exactly. Yeah. So speaking about chat, we have our good friends Hunter Biden, Hugo, Bill, and Rick all in chat. So what's up, guys? Appreciate you guys coming in. You guys always show up for us, so we appreciate that. Getting into some Tesla news. So something that we've been talking about, you know, for a few months now is these, you know, supercharger stations, these new stations that are coming up. Well,
there's no fangled stations.
I know you guys, especially Will and Chase, you guys are in love with Bucky's. I've never been, unfortunately, and I need to go at some point. But Tesla wants to take over the belt of having the largest fuel station, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they are building one right now that's going to have 168 stalls.
Yeah.
Impressive.
In Lost Hills, which would be, I think Bucky's has one that's like 120.
Well, not even Bucky's, but there's the Baker. It's between Vegas and LA. There's one with like 120. Baker, yeah.
It is.
It's
now.
huge.
Yeah. Baker's has a lot, but but they're going to build this one in Lost Hills. But I spy with my little eye. Just because first thing I go to is, do they have pull through, right?
Yeah.
And
not only
sure enough, they have pull through. But what is this little?
That's exactly what I saw too. Like what?
What is this little
tease?
Yeah, cyber RV trailer. Yeah. I mean, it could just be rendering, right? But I mean, they're making a goddamn bus.
Yeah, it could honestly very well be rendering, because I don't know who made this rendering, or if this is actually officially from Tesla that's putting this out. If it's from Tesla, then I would start questioning it more. But if it's a third party, I've seen people like do these like, you know, construction renderings for like retail, and they'll just toss in a Cybertruck just for fun, just because they have the 3D model of it.
Yeah.
But this is interesting.
It's eye-popping, but it's also low poly, so it's like super easy to just pop into any rendering.
I don't know the answer to that, if this was officially from Tesla or not, but I mean, this looks like, I would assume, Tesla employees right here, because that's the site, the location.
Where is that? Lost Hills.
It's like on your way up to the Bay Area, I believe.
Oh, if right off the 5.
Correct. Yeah, if I'm correct.
Outside of Bakersfield. Yeah.
talking like a true Californian. You're like the 5, you know.
I lived there for a little bit.
I know. We get shit everywhere we go. You're like, we're gonna take the 95. You're like, don't you dare call I-95 the 95.
It's funny because like I grew up in Indiana where everything was I. So it was I-70, it was I-65. So because for Interstate 70.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's funny. I had to burn that out of my memory and go to the. And then that's where it's like the dead giveaway of all the Californians moving to like Austin and Texas. If they're like, it's the 35, and we're like, okay, we know where you're from.
Calm down.
Yeah, it's okay.
Meanwhile, everybody else is like, what the frontage road? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
We have a question from Mr. Hunter Biden. He's saying, wonder if this is the first official V4 cabinet launch. 1000 V charging, Cybertruck charging of 330 plus kilowatt. I think it's, they're saying 350, but
it could be.
I'm not sure, but I mean, this would be the time to do it, I would think, right? I mean, if you're going to build, it's already getting publicity, right? Just from the standalone fact that it's the biggest fuel station ever. And so why wouldn't you then open up the 350 charging and everything that you got and just throw it out there?
Well, notice in the rendering, all those are V4 already.
Of course, yeah. No, they have to.
Which would make sense. Yeah, it makes sense. But I'm curious, maybe the pull-throughs, if they would give it a little extra boost or...
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing too, and once again, this is just a rendering, right? And we don't know if exactly, like you said, if this is straight from Tesla. Is this really the configuration that they're going to use? I mean, this doesn't even look like there's 168 there. But there's 2 stalls at each pull-through. So that's kind of... It's a little interesting.
It looks
like either side.
Yeah, so you can be either side of the podium, and if you're on one side and you picked, the left one, then the other guy gets the right one, or vice versa, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because if it wouldn't make any sense in this case.
I just hope they're not paired. I hope that they're not paired like the early superchargers were, where if somebody next to you is soaking up more power, you'd get less, because it was like. But that was back when it was like 150 kilowatts was like the max at the 2 pedestals that they paired to.
That's interesting because it makes me think that now. It makes me think this is actually a third-party rendering because of if this was Tesla, they wouldn't park the Cybertruck that way because you would have to be further up, and the cord would have to reach over the top of the truck.
Yeah.
In that configuration for a right-hand side stall.
Yeah.
I mean, neither here nor there, but I think it's definitely interesting.
Well,
could offer
we have a comment from, and I'm sorry if I butcher your name, but QSAR. He says it's pictures from article posted by high-level Tesla employee, so it's official. I can't verify that, but that's what he's stating. So,
well, they need to fire whoever they outsource this image to, because there's too many details that they should have thought through. Although they keep it obfuscated like that on purpose, because then. If they give it away, then I don't know. I couldn't see this would be the way that they're going to reveal the Cyber RV trailer, but we've seen different.
No, and I teased a little bit by going, is that their Cyber? I mean, even if it's from Tesla, they could just throw that in there, and that doesn't mean they're really going to do anything. But I'm just trying to have fun with it. I just like the fact that they have pull-throughs, because you guys know I've complained many times, 100%. Especially on this route. This is a highly trafficked area to where people are going up and down, and doing their camping trips and whatever they're doing, and you need pull-throughs, and I get so frustrated. Even the new V4 that's down the street from my house, I mean, it's not a high traffic area to where tourists and people are coming and going, that would necessarily be needing pull through, but they should have put at least one in there. You're building a brand new, supercharger location. Why not just put one in there? Just for me, I would drive right there, and I could, whether I'm going or coming, I can charge up and go on my trip. But
do we know where the semis actually charge on that route? Because we know they're up and down that route all the time.
I think so, from what I've heard, and I think we talked about it once. I pulled up an article or something. I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to be turning in the rest stops, like some of those rest stops, they're going to be putting chargers in there for semis. That's
because
they're going to kind of have
anyways.
their own. Yeah, they're going to have like their own like dedicated. From what I remember reading at some point, they're going to have like their own dedicated like space.
Yeah,
you know, they're not going to have to go into where just everyday people and their Model 3s or know, Model X's or whatever. Like semis really have their own thing.
Yeah, because who else stops at those unless you're a semi and need to stop overnight, or if you're just like, I really need a vending machine Diet Coke, and you're like, use the bathroom really fast.
We need that. We need that.
Also, just to point of reference, I looked up on supercharge.info that the Baker location was, I think, 92 superchargers. 96, excuse me, 96. There are 96 superchargers there.
Bucky's has a beat still, so
there you go. Yeah, because I stopped through there. Yeah, like I said earlier this year, I had a trip from Austin to Vegas, or Austin to LA, and went through Vegas. Sorry if there's like a screaming going in the background. Apparently it's bedtime. I have the toddler.
Just wait for baby 2.
Just keep scheduling these for the bedtime at Chase's house.
Yeah, it's all good. it's gives us something.
Hey, we've all been there.
To listen to. Yeah, 100%.
He runs his household.
They usually do. How old is he again?
Yeah, he's like 2.5.
Yeah, so he runs the house.
Going on 20.
Going on 20. He's already having a beer and a cigar with you. So Bill asked in chat, he goes, any thoughts about what's the holdup for tax breaks with all-wheel drive? Some say the 4680 batteries are made in China, but they make them in Texas, right? That's a question.
That's a good question. Well, I thought ruling out the Foundation series, because that just was priced out no matter what. Like it was over the 80,000, so it didn't even qualify. But I'm really actually curious about the non-Foundation series, if it can get low enough to still qualify, because those are 80.
Yes, yeah, they're the $80,000 I guess limit.
But the question is, like, would the destination fee also count towards that? Because then it would put it at 82.
I don't think so. I'm actually,
because I think that's the biggest question. Is people were asking the same thing. I'm like, technically it could qualify if I don't do any of the upgrades. I just get a bare bones Foundation series truck. And I think the question is, we're just waiting on the government to approve it. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm reading about it right now because I read something earlier. I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or so. I believe I think it just needs to get approval. I don't know why it hasn't been approved. You would think that would be something that they would have, in the pipeline, so that way when they removed the $20,000 Foundation series from their lineup, that it would just boom immediately, because that would make a lot of people happy, right?
Yeah.
But it
especially
doesn't.
Tesla.
There's no word on why it hasn't yet, but it's just an approval process. So hopefully soon. I feel bad for everybody. Typical Tesla, right? It's like, how many times have you heard the story of someone buying something and buying a car, and then like days later there's like a huge price drop? And then
Tesla's addressed that in the past. They're like, you buy your car and then there's suddenly a huge price drop. It's like, yeah, but if you buy the car and then suddenly we have to jack up the price, nobody sends us a check. So I mean, it's just the gamble you play. But so here's my flaunting the IRS, but they've got a better legal team than I do. So I would think, what if Tesla were to start offering the Cybertruck and they knew the base model was the thing that only the base model would get the rebate, the full rebate? So what if they started offering Cybertruck buyers? They're like, this quarter only, if you buy FSD with a Cybertruck order on record, we'll upgrade. We'll throw a couple of upgrades on for free.
Smart.
I bet you that they would do some, because it's like between the two interior colors isn't a significant difference for as far as the manufacturing needs for it. But it's like so it's kind of one of those premium things you could throw to people who wanted something aesthetically to change.
Yeah. Well, we've seen them do that even with the Model 3 performance, of like trying to kind of throw in some free incentives to not put it over that number threshold, so you can still get the tax benefit, because that's a huge marketing ploy for them. And I think as soon as we see Tesla themselves put out and mark it on their website. Oh, Cybertruck for what is the math? 72.5.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like they'll for sure know that, yeah, it's there. But in the meantime, if you have a business or small business of any kind, definitely look into the possibility of using Section 179.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be the only tax benefit at the moment. And it's really just going to be like, if you can claim it's used for, a commercial benefit with your business, whatever that be. In our cases, it was basically Turo. So
I want to know how the influencers are going to handle it. I mean, they bought a car and they shot it up. They had they had performers having sex all over it. So like at the end of the year, is the argument going to be like, this truck has seen some shit.
Will,
but so somebody's
talking about that on the podcast.
We haven't seen.
Things exist outside of what we talk about. Come on, you guys. You got the OnlyFans accounts out there. They're not just banging the side of the truck with a sledgehammer. They're doing they're doing other banging nearby. It's just to me it's just I don't know. You threw me a curveball. Now my brain.
I have a question. Damn it. I have a question for.
So how do you take the tax write-off? That was my thing for the influencers. I'm like, so this truck had a lot of fun. How are you going to claim this as a business expense? Be like,
yeah. Well,
sorry about that. Okay,
you're good. I have actually a good question here. So the guys in chat, Hugo and Bill specifically, are talking about how they're waiting for that to be approved for that. Tax incentive, right?
A lot of people
which makes a lot of sense. I'm right there with them. I would wait at this point. I would 100% wait as well. Why? If you could save an extra almost $8,000, why not? But here's my question to them. So please, Bill and Hugo, answer this in chat if you can. If Tesla ran a promotion today and said, "Hey, we're sorry that that approval hasn't happened yet, but what we want to do is we're going to offer free FSD, which is $8,000 right now, right? We're going to offer free FSD until that tax incentive goes through." Would you then now pull the trigger and buy it? Or would you still just wait for the FSD and for the tax incentive and just forego the FSD? So that'd be a question for them. So, I'm sure they'll
answer in chat. But I also want to poise, I think, because I know a lot of people are probably like still waiting to hit that button on like a brand new Cybertruck at the moment. But we also now have like a good swath of Foundation Series owners that are just like, I didn't want this thing, and they're trying to offload it now. They're going to really start plummeting prices now that there's a cheaper version of the same thing. But something to keep in mind is that if it can get underneath that price threshold, and you can still benefit and get a tax credit buying it used, that is a possibility. Like with our Rivian, we still get a tax credit because we're buying it used, but it's just basically half. So we get like $3,250 instead of the $7,500.
Yeah. Well, Bill says that he would buy it. He says sold. I'm going to buy it right away.
He's in.
They offer free FSD. So there you go.
That makes sense.
Hasn't answered
and we've
yet,
seen some good things. I don't know if we're going to talk about the Chuck stuff, but yeah, FSD and the Cybertruck is looking pretty good, decent.
Okay, Hugo says he would wait and then get the FSD. I have a question for you, Chase, because you recently traded in your Cybertruck and got the Rivian. Do you know? Have you been tracking it? Have they sold the Cybertruck yet? They haven't. Okay. So the reason why I ask is because I seen online that somebody sold or maybe did the same thing as you. I don't know if they sold it to a dealership or they traded it in, but nonetheless, the dealership paid $111,000 for the Cybertruck, and it's been sitting there. So,
I can see a lot of dealers getting kind of wrapped up into that. Honestly, we weren't going for that high. Like we understood the market where it was going to be, and granted, they initially listed it for 110 after we sold it to them for 94, and then now it's listed at 98.
Wow.
Yeah. When I sold my Cybertruck, I still remember the conversation with the guy who's buying it, because they're going through the whole process of inspecting it, and he and I were just sitting in the office, and he was like 3 months ago I bought one of these for $190,000, and I was like, wow, because that was like back in March. That was back when there was high freaking money going around. So he was like, yeah, I bought one. He's like, and this was like, he's like 3 months ago I bought it. I bought one for 190,000, and then mine went for the amount that mine was, which was, 5 figures less, but still above the 6-figure mark. So paid it off. I'm like, yeah. I mean, even he was just sitting there, just kind of nodding, looking at the distance, like, yeah, I don't think these prices are going to hold for these. And I'm like, you're probably right. Sure enough, here we are.
Yeah, that's why we timed it almost perfectly. In like, I just kind of read the tea leaves. I know I still have like the Connect under my name, but I don't have that kind of insider info. Like, I didn't know when they were going to stop Foundation Series. I just had a hunch that it could be around the 1010 event. It just happened to be the week before that, and that's where I was trying to like move quickly on this. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. It's like they ended Foundation Series, and once people saw that, okay, this is the price without all the add-on. That's like, it was, you could buy basically the same exact truck for what we sold it back, brand new.
Yeah,
with all the add-ons, essentially. Like, if you take away the wall power share and still even had FSD, you would be at the price that we sold it.
Oh, Space Dust, nice.
Good game. Elysian, right?
Elysian? Space Dust, sponsor us.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Take a case.
Yeah, man. I love this stuff.
So, real quick, we got to say hi to Jay. Jay joined us late, but hello, Jay. Jay's in chat.
What up, Jay?
He's the king of Keep On Cybertruckin, so we appreciate you coming in.
No, I didn't.
The guys are talking in chat as well, and they're talking about how now, and I didn't have this prepared, but I'm glad they brought it up. I actually forgot, but now you can transfer FSD
yes,
to your Cybertruck. So that's a really cool thing. That's something that wasn't offered previously, but now they're doing that. So that's a good incentive for people. They're looking to upgrade, or if they have another Tesla, they want to get rid of that and they want to transfer their FSD from that vehicle to Cybertruck. That's really great. So
maybe more reason to wait to see if the federal tax credit would be there, because if you have FSD in a current Tesla and you could trade up, transfer it,
then I would
definitely wait.
Yeah, then you have to. So I want to get into also something that came up this week. I believe one of you guys sent this over, which is the Cybertruck, and how, I guess, there's always these rumors and speculation and fake news, as they call it, and the Cyberstuck claiming that there's no crumple zones or areas on the Cybertruck. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
I will say this. I have been kind of gobsmacked by the lack of any kind of crash test data I've seen that's been made public. Like, I remember, my Model X, my first one, maybe it had been out like a year or maybe a little bit longer. Actually, I think it had been out since I got it. It had been a year. Was when I started seeing their crash test videos of the Model X and its rollover capability, and the fact that it's like, the thing can literally be going 40 miles an hour sideways, roll onto its roof, and it'll still correct itself back to its wheels. I'm like, that's the kind of stuff I've been waiting to see somebody posting or something. There hasn't been any kind of internal crash testing videos or anything that I recall seeing. Like, so all we're literally getting is just the results of accidents. I'm still eager to know like how the thing holds up in that moment of an accident. And this is where we're getting to it. But it's like, I want to know what it hit. I want to know how big it was, or what the details of all of it was. Because, you look at the rest of the car, like, it did its job. It kept the passenger safe.
Yes, exactly.
The passengers walked away. Job did its second job.
Well, it's one of those things where I agree. There hasn't been a lot of information on the crash test from Tesla, right? But you cannot put a vehicle on the road that is going to be dangerous to everyone around it. And there's certain regulations and things that they must meet in order for it to be put onto the road. And so the idea of people stating that, you know how that was. Everybody was talking about how this thing, I still get comments in my videos that, that thing's, can kill anybody if it runs into you. And
I've run over so many children, just constantly running over kids because I can't see.
Slicing them in half.
Can't see over the hood. It's not possible. They just disappear.
Yeah. So it's one of those things.
I shared the clip that they shared like back in August of 2023, where they basically teased and literally it was just like a bunch of clips of like it almost hitting the wall from the crash tests, but they never really showed. I think they eventually showed like the side view of that actual front impact, but that's the only clip that I've seen outside of like. I remember the feats of strength. They had like a couple, like I think they had a one clip of like the rollover test where they have it like they shift it on the side and it goes into sand and to see if they can flip it over and it doesn't. They did show that one, I believe, but yeah, they haven't really like shown the full data set of like all those crash tests, which is it's just odd. But I don't know, maybe if I don't know, it's odd because it kind of leans more into the idea that okay, these Foundation Series owners, these first buyers, are kind of more of like beta testers to let's find the data first. And then we'll kind of fully put it out there. Because I mean, like, let's look at the other end of the spectrum. The worst that we've seen is probably the crash in Houston, where it, at high speed, basically slammed into concrete and then combusted. But then looking at the aftermath of it, it was like clearly it had traveled at much more faster than we've ever seen any of the front impacts. So that's the worst case we've seen. Outside of that, I don't think we've had any fatalities, at least reported. That's the only one that I've heard of.
I haven't seen or heard of anything, any kind of fatalities of somebody riding in a Cybertruck.
I haven't heard of any fruit ninja with the Cybertruck and young children or pedestrians. So
I've seen the aftermath of a deer, and the deer did not survive. And that's about it.
Yes, yes, we did show that.
That's just physics. You really can't blame them for that.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I mean, that's a testament to the safety of the Cybertrucks too. Like not only you have FSD, but it still is ugly as people want to call it. It still is functional and still works and saves people's lives. We saw the one from China that literally rolled over multiple times in sand, and yet it was totally fine. So
in the deserts of China that I never knew existed.
Right, and learn something every day.
Something else that was kind of spotted. One thing that we were talking about, I think last week, was how people are now getting the emails to configure their non-Foundation Series Cybertrucks, and there's more and more of those going out. But part of that configuration process, you can configure and add the range extender to your order.
Oh, yeah.
One thing is the original pre-order price was, or deposit, I guess you would say, was $500. Now it's up to $2,000. But the biggest thing is the fact that, and I know this image is a little blurry, but it's stating that you're getting an increased range to 440 plus miles estimated. Originally, they were saying 470. So there seems to be a 30-mile range loss there.
Yeah.
That the price is still the same, $16,000 estimated, it states. And that's hold true throughout. But if it was 16,000 before, I unfortunately, I mean, I wish I would have done it, but now that I'm learning this, I don't feel so bad anymore. If I would have originally put the $500 down, expecting to get 470, and now they're saying 440, I'd be a little frustrated if it's going to stay at that $16,000.
Especially if you're still going to spend $16,000 on it.
Exactly. Which is already hefty price tag, right? It's like, and you're not financing that. You're going to have to give them $16,000. So that's disappointing to see that there's a potential range loss on the range extenders. I don't know. It's a little confusing because you would think now we're approaching the 1 year mark of the first deliveries, because I believe they started delivering Cybertrucks in November.
Yep.
So we're getting to that 1 year mark. You would think the batteries and efficiency updates, all these things that would increase range, where that range extender, you would think they would be promoting this, going, oh no, you're not getting 470 now. Now you're getting 500 or 510 or something. Instead, it's going down.
Yeah. Well, even look underneath it, the production plan to begin in mid 2025, which is even further down the road. Good point. Because initially they were thinking like late this year that they were going to have the range extender available. At least when we signed on for Foundation.
100%. Yeah, that's a good catch right there. I forgot about that. That's another thing. There's a delay there now. So it's supposed to be end of 2024. Now they're saying mid 2025. So I kind of get that, because if they're more focused on putting batteries into Cybertrucks to get more Cybertrucks out on the road as opposed to
Makes
an
sense.
add-on, that makes sense to me. Too upset about that, but it's more the range loss because, I mean, if you're going to pay $16,000 for a range extender, it's because you're concerned about range. You want to maximize your range. And so when they first came out in 2020 or 2019, they stated 500 plus range. And then we got 320, 318. And then they're going, but you can buy a range extender. And some people are going, okay, I'll do that. But now
it was
that
the big
range
rebuttal.
it's just
because the range extender was saying, like you said, 475, and people are like, okay, well, it's not 500, but it's close with the range extender. But I think this is one of those, like, probably one of the bigger overhype, under deliver kind of things from Elon with the 500 range initially when they said it. It's like something happened along the way that changed, and they realized they had to save face. And I think that's why there's even the option to get an extended range battery, because who's to say that, like, the second generation of Cybertrucks are just going to come with just a bigger battery that already has the 440 range.
I hope so.
We see this with the the Silverado, with the GMCs. They're already up to, like, that 440 range already.
Yep.
Who's to say that they shouldn't just stop putting in these 123 kilowatt batteries and put in just a larger battery?
Well, if you notice on this image as well, down below the range extender, it says core wheels and covers with all season tires, 320 mile range estimate.
Which is interesting too, because we've seen 340 with those.
I mean, I know somebody that just got the Beast and has the all season tires, and he's getting, I think, like 370, based off of his efficiency numbers. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't understand why those numbers are coming down.
I think that it's because this is probably them getting ahead of the fact that engineering choices have consequences. And I think that, for all of the kind of groundbreaking that they did with how they're producing this vehicle and how they ramped up so effectively, there's got to be some trade-offs. There just simply have. You can't optimize so many things, and then the first time you go to production, you end up over engineering some things. It just always happens. It's a heavy truck. And if you add more weight to it in the form of more batteries, you add more mass that the batteries need to move. So and they're going to look at it and be like, how can we decrease the weight? How can we change that? They're like, there's literally, I feel like they're probably saying there's literally nothing. We've manufactured it the way that we did for this round. And when we revise it or improve it, it'll look different. Right now, I can't get you a better vehicle to be able to augment beyond what you have right here.
And honestly, it comes down to the extra weight of the stainless steel, I think. Because it's like, and I think what this is driven from like market pressure from Rivian and obviously Chevy with the longer range, that they're having other competitors that are coming out with like 400 plus range batteries, and they're just like, okay, I think the only other way they could do it is just that they just make the battery bigger from default. But even then, they're still working with the extra weight and the extra tire diameter.
I also want to put one more thing in the oven on this, is that, and this is something that I find funny and I think is a part of this. So my Rivian, people ask me about the range that it says, and I'm like, it is very, very accurate. Like, I almost never have to look at the percentage anymore. I trust when it says 60 miles, it has 60 miles on the battery. Every Tesla I've ever had, exactly. Every Tesla I've ever had was a little like, that number's dropping a little bit quicker than I'm traveling. You know what I'm saying? And the efficiency's improved in the motors, but so too has the impact to the predictability of the software. And I think that plays a role in that. I wonder how many other manufacturers are like, you know what? The guys who are buying this Ford F-150, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds is already way higher than they've ever anticipated. We don't need to have extra acceleration for the driver experience, and we can get more efficiency out of it if we essentially software throttle the amount of torque, the amount of horsepower, the amount of move the car generates from those batteries. And every Tesla I drive, it's fun. I mean, every time I get in my wife's car and we drive somewhere, it's that, ooh, I'm going to take this curve. I want to see if I can make these tires squeal. Just, it's like a go-kart. And my Cybertruck, everybody always asks me, they're like, yo, you miss it? And I'm like, you know what? I miss driving it. I miss driving it because that steer-by-wire was some, like, in my head, it was just some sci-fi beyond stuff. It was just so cool to have experienced that. And the experience of driving it is just so wonderful. I genuinely loved it. If I get another Cybertruck, it's going to be for that reason. And
100%.
But it still had that, it's like that thing you like. It's that, that Jaguar pounce that it has that other EVs I've driven don't have. And I think that that's kind of just a part of the way that Tesla, the way that Tesla bakes the same thing everyone else does. You end up with some efficiency loss to the fun factor, if you will. And you can turn it down as much as you want, make it, boring drive mode or comfort mode or whatever they call it. But still at its core, Teslas are still just a little bit sportier of a vibe to them. And so I think that that's kind of why they're underperforming to the range expectations, because every other manufacturer's figured it's like, some mom who buys this thing in Kansas, she doesn't give a crap about the 0 to 60. She does. It's not a point. Honestly, if you tell her, she might be like weirded out. She might not like it or so. I don't know. That's not to say that, there are people who are very savvy. I'm just saying that it's not a selling point for the people in the end who actually buy cars. You have the enthusiasts, the sports, the nerds and all that stuff. End of the day, some person needs a car and they're going to go in, they're going to, want certain information. And one of those things I think is the reliability of the forecast of how far you can drive it. Because that's always the conversation I have with people. They're like, oh, you drive EVs? How far can you drive on your battery? How far can you drive?
The first question.
The first question. Every single time. And it's like, oh, I can get like 350 miles on this thing, and there are chargers along the way. It's easy. But that's the first concern. And I think that Tesla still makes a more fun vehicle, and they're very committed to that. I don't think Franz will ever allow them to not make something that's fun and sporty and crazy like that. But the trade-off is that other manufacturers, I think, are looking at these enormous batteries, 123 kilowatt hour battery, and they're like, yeah, this thing can run a whole job site as long as this guy drives it below 70 between here and the work site. Like, it could run for 24 hours. Come on. Those are the trade-offs that they're realizing, because again, it's just a really big battery on these bastards. Yeah. So it's awesome to see that there's options for it. But, like I said, there's choices that are made when you make engineering choices.
Yeah. It's exactly what LJ in chat says. It's kind of one of those things where it's a big battery, it's heavy. There's a trade-off there, right? You go bigger battery, it's going to get heavier, so it's like, at what point you got to end it at some point. So I get it. It's just, you want better numbers. But you made a good point, Will. So as you guys know, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, I was extremely frustrated with the fact that my Cybertruck was back in the shop. It was the same issue. It was the rear motor inverter thing went out again. I was frustrated. I was so frustrated to the point where I almost wanted to jump ship and join the Rivian fan club like you guys. But it really is one of those things where when I got the truck back and I was driving home and I'm in it, I'm sitting in it, and the steer-by-wire.
It's forgiven, my son.
So, I'm like,
Spiritus Sanctus, you're forgiven of your sins.
That's when it's like, I can't. I mean, this thing is just so much fun to drive. It
really is.
I just got to stick with it. But it's an amazing vehicle. When
end of the day, no matter what, it is an amazing vehicle, and it's the thing that would take me back to getting another one down the road, or reconsidering it if I wanted to leave a Rivian to get a Tesla again. It's just so much fun.
Well, I said it before when we talked about when they initialized the Model 3 performance coming out at 55K. Like, I think that's, at least for me, that's the sweet spot. Like, I look forward to buying a used Cybertruck that's 2 years old that has 40,000 miles on it for 55,000, because I think that's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
And then we'll really see.
It's 100% going to be in the future, and that's going to be a steal. Imagine getting a Cyber Beast, a used Cyber Beast with 50,000 miles for $70,000, $60,000. Oh my god,
easy. Yeah,
You know?
I think that's what I'm looking forward to, because honestly, like I've said it on the podcast too, it's like I'd never buy new. Like I try to catch it just right after that kind of like initial, drive it off the lot kind of depreciation, just to kind of save myself for a little bit. Hence why we bought, the Rivian just 1 year used.
So the guys are chatting in chat, and they're all talking about Beast and all-wheel drive. Hugo's talking about he wants the Beast, and so they're kind of having that conversation. Hugo also mentioned don't jump ship. I'm not jumping ship. You guys don't need to worry about that. Not yet, at least. But and I'll be honest with you, I would, when I went to the soggy dry lake over here in Johnson Valley, and there was a Cyber Beast owner there, and he took me on a little. We launched his Cyber Beast. I mean, you know, Chase. I mean, it's
stupid.
It's ridiculous. I wanted it. I hated my Cybertruck for a moment there. We're just like the sissy freaking truck, because the Beast is just crazy. I would highly, highly, highly recommend for anybody that is debating which one they should get, if you can afford it and you don't care about the extra $20,000, get the Beast. Get the Beast. I've thought about getting rid of mine to get a Beast. It's just I keep going back to my low VIN, and I don't know. I'm weird. So like I feel like that's like a little trophy or something, that I have a sub 1,000. So I won't get rid of mine. But if I had, a 7,000 VIN or something like that, I would 100% consider getting rid of mine and getting a Beast, because that thing is just I would have so much fun with that.
Well, you have the R1S, but do you have the dual motor tri or the quad?
I have the dual motor.
So we've got the quad, and it's also 135 horsepower, and it's stupid. Like I launched that thing, and it much is like the Beast. So it's like,
what's the 0 to 60 on that? Do you know?
3 seconds.
Yeah, that's
his has got teeth.
Beast.
His is feral.
It's crazy for like a car that you it's a soccer mom car.
I was just gonna say, for a soccer mom.
For a soccer mom vehicle, it is pretty fast, and it's stupid. That's where like it's so funny. Where like we talked about how I've got a toddler who's 2.5, and then anytime we get in the car, he was like, "Let's go fast." I'm like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah, let's go fast.
Then he keeps reminding me that anytime we see a Cybertruck, they're like, "Oh yeah, Daddy jumped a Cybertruck," and like, "Yeah, I want to jump a Cybertruck." And can we jump the car? And like, no, we can't jump the car. So I have to explain to him we can't just like go jump it every single time. But honestly, it's like I said,
not with that attitude, Dad.
If I had more faith in the suspension, I do want to take this thing off road and see what it could do. Like put it in like Baja mode and see, or rally mode or whatever they call it. Let it rip, because I know with those EV engines off road, it's stupid fun. Like you have that instant torque. It's just so much fun. But that would be the one reason I would want a Cybertruck again, is like having that more like Baja like off road capability out of the box, like ready to go at any time. Like that's awesome.
I mean, you kind of went a little viral with your jumping the Cybertruck. What would have been really cool is if you had your son in the back with one of the racing helmets on, and when you do that, you had a camera just on him and his excitement and the fear, even maybe from the jump.
If my wife would let me, I totally would have.
I don't blame her.
I have faith in what we did, like what I experienced there. I wouldn't take it at like 60 miles an hour, but I would still hit it like at 50 with him in the back and still feel safe.
That would,
because it's just so much fun. Like and that's why like there's a dedicated crew of people with Ford Raptors that they go out there every month, and it's just like, let's hit it, because it's just so much fun.
100%
peeling out in clay.
100%.
So much fun. But hopefully we can get another Cyber Rodeo out there, because I still think that would be a really fun event for a lot of Cybertruck owners to be like, okay, go at your own risk. You hit this jump at a certain speed. Like here's your range.
You're gonna die.
Do whatever you want, but don't go over this number. Don't go. Well, you can go below the number, but like ideally, even 45 miles an hour, we hit air.
100%.
Just too much fun.
Just moving on from that conversation, we want to talk about the Cybertruck and how it's now the highest selling EV truck. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But the sales, it states the sales have more than doubled in Q3, and it's become the third best selling EV in America, or the USA, I should say.
Oh, interesting. Does it have the numbers there?
Yeah, here's some numbers right here. So the Model Y had almost 87,000 deliveries in the third quarter. Model 3, 58,000. And then the Cybertruck, a little less than 17,000.
Yeah.
So that says the Cybertruck bringing year-to-date total to 28,000 trucks.
I would wonder, though, because I do know just anecdotally people that put in reservations in like 21 and 22 and even 23 that have gotten the call. That what has been the adoption rate for the first like 3 million reservations or whatever they had? Because even if we sold, whatever 40,000 trucks to date, that's still a small percentage out of 3 million. That's where I'm wondering.
I'm curious to see the numbers of. So when they first released the Cybertruck, obviously there was a huge disappointment from a lot of people, a lot of reservation holders, that there wasn't a $1,000 version or even a $60,000 version. And so when they saw the Foundation Series price tag of 100 and 120, people just went, I'm totally like, there's no way, I'm not doing this. But there was a lot of people that said, I'm going to wait until that $20,000 Foundation Series that price tag is gone. And it's down to 80,000, which we've been talking about. I want to see if there's been almost like, like they say in YouTube, the click-through rate. I wonder how many emails, when they're sending out these configuration emails, what's the uptick in the clicks that people are actually configuring, as opposed to previously with Foundation Series, people get the emails and they go, yeah, pass. I wonder, I want to see that increase to see, because then it turns into the demand, right? I mean, we keep talking about it for months now about how there's all these Cybertrucks in lots or at the factory, and are they unsold or what's going on?
Exactly.
Now where are we going to be at? Are they now going to be at the point where they can't make them fast enough? Now it kind of pushes that backlog where, a couple of weeks ago, people were getting the email configuring, and then in like a week they're taking delivery. Are they going to be pushed out now because so many people are clicking and going, yes, I want it, and they're going, well, we don't have enough to provide, so you're 2 months out again, 3 months out. I wonder, I'd be curious to see how that all works out.
And that's what drove out our the turbo business too, because it was like someone could put in a reservation and have it within the week. They were getting it pretty fast. Like we did have one rental, and this was late summer, so this probably would have been like the first start of the turn, where they showed up and they were like, yeah, we just got the reservation call like the night before they had like our rental. And then I think they were like, they like had planned to come rent it for the day and drive it around. And then they just went ahead and they put the money down the night before and like, all right, we're all in. And then the day they came, they also got the email or the notification. They were like, oh, we can pick it up like this Saturday. So literally they had like a rented on a Sunday and they picked it up that Saturday right away. So I think it's going to be a give and pull of like, they have the supply and they're just kind of keeping up with the demand. And then as the demand kind of weans away, I think that's when we'll start to see the prices come back down to where there's normal rates. I think they're probably going to hold back on that single motor as long as possible until they have to. Yeah. Only because of the demand.
That's going to be a marketing thing, right? When the demand starts slowing down, people pretty much, like you said, the estimated 3 million reservation holders, maybe that really turned into really a 1.5 or something. Once all of those people have been fed, so to speak, now it's like, okay, let's throw this out here now. Single motor, Cybertruck for whatever price tag, 1,000, and now just there's going to be another explosion.
So I want to throw out the gauntlet that I think that the single motor is and always will be a mistake for any electric vehicle. Just because there's a simple fact. There's facts about what it is, and it's like the way that it gets the car moving. I think that every manufacturer has discovered it. They're like, one motor just doesn't make the driver experience for anybody coming from any vehicle. It just can't keep up with it. You need to, it's basically like, just, front wheel drive okay, so we'll just need one set of motor, one, single motor. No, it never works.
Mm-hmm.
For EVs, you basically want. I think Tesla literally streamlined all of their vehicles to the point where they you have to put a gun to their head for them to sell you a single motor vehicle, because it's just that's just what the baseline should be. Rivian's already found that they don't offer a single motor version. They just have double, triple, quad. They just realize there's more to adding discrete motors per wheel or to cover as many wheels or the physics of the car than there is any benefit of having some sort of economic vehicle with one motor that sucks.
Yeah,
the Bucky. How to get one in?
You make a good
Mark
point,
your
though.
times at 52 minutes 47 seconds.
There you go. I'm here. That's what I'm here for.
When the inverter on the rear motor went out, I'm sure there's some type of safety precautions that go into effect when something like that happens. But I I had one motor disabled at that point, right? So I'm running off of one motor, and it's drivable. I can drive. That thing was horrible. It was equivalent to a full size heavy duty Chevy Silverado with a 4-cylinder engine. It was not fun. And that's the thing that we were talking about it earlier. If the Cybertruck, the appeal is the fun factor, then in my opinion, unless if they do something drastic, if there's only going to be one motor pushing this thing, I don't see where the fun is. Where's the fun now?
Pure efficiency at that point.
I think that's where Tesla came in swinging. They, at the time when the Teslas first started getting Model S on the road and people were noticing it, like the only other electric vehicles were like, the Chevy Volt, the e-Golf, the god awful, there was a BMW i3 and i3. I mean, oh my God, they were terrible. And they all had shit range and they looked awful. I mean, even the BMW, I mean, come on, it looks like a car birthing a car. It's like freakish. So Tesla was the first one to come out and be like, we're going to make fun cars, we make them fun. Like, Elon, who knows, maybe he was still using back then, but I feel like his before ketamine days, he was actually like, we're going to make cars that are fun to drive because that's what you're here for. That's what you spend money for. Like, not just a good enough car to suck. You want to have a, so that was the whole founding principle of the Model 3, or at least the Model S and X leading to the 3. You can't sell a car if it sucks, if it's stupid looking and it's shit to drive. I think that they absolutely hit that on the head, and I think that if there was somebody else at Tesla trying to communicate their mission and their core values beyond the whole transition to sustainable living and be a multiplanetary species and all that kind of stuff, I feel like there'd somebody be like, we make cars that make people like turn their heads, that go like, ooh, the launch videos from back in the day in 2014, 2013, Model S launch videos for ludicrous mode. Mwah. They were people getting pinned to their seats, realizing what's been kept from them. This kind of technology, this kind of a vehicle. It's amazing. So but I think that just single motors is a terrible way to try to achieve it.
I think it hits the nail on the head that they focused more on the fun factor, especially with the Cybertruck, than efficiency. And we're seeing it now with the extended battery and just kind of the turning the blind eye to, all right, maybe we should make it, long range and efficient, because we also noticed that they came out and said they were, hey, we're making a quad motor. And then they done away with it, and they're like, no, we can do okay with tri. And that's kind of what the response has been, is like, oh, we found out that we can just do just as nice with tri motor. But the thing we haven't seen with the tri motor is like super efficient. And this is what I'm noticing, at least with the Rivian R1S quad motor, is that the efficiency mode, or the conserve mode, essentially it shuts off the back two motors and only uses the front two motors. So basically it turns into a front wheel drive car, it's using less energy and it's more efficient, and I can get extended range on the fly. So it kind of is a nice thing to have as like a backup. You don't want to use it every day
because I've got I've got the R1S dual motor, but I don't have the performance, so I don't have So yeah, what you're describing is what I drive every day, and I'm like, this is great, and it's still got way more power than any other car that I had before. That on demand.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's right there. Like, the thing is since I have the quad, I don't want to roll only in conserve because it's going to wear more on my front tires than on my back. Like, I want to like conserve that, that wear. But it's great to be able to be like, and I didn't have this with a Tesla, to be like, hey, I'm looking at my estimate and it's, I'm close to my destination, but I still need like 40 miles to get home, and I only have like 50 miles on the charge. I can just switch it over into conserve mode, and now I'm back up to 75. It's like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry. Because it also, what it does is that it doesn't only just kind of limit which motors it uses, it actually limits the overall power. You can see like the power gauge just get clamped off. So it doesn't go full power. It'll actually like stop at a certain power and then won't let you actually go use the entire power, even if you like press all the way down on the accelerator.
Okay.
Hunter Biden states in the chat that he disagrees with the idea of a single motor EV is not fun. He talks about a Model 3 rear wheel drive.
Rear wheel I can see.
A lot. So I will say this, because my Model 3 that I had, the 2018, it was a rear wheel drive. They didn't have the dual motor at the time. And yes, that was a very fun car. I think what Will and what we're kind of all talking about is like the bigger cars, right? The Model Y.
I'm talking about for EVs to have a fighting chance,
trucks,
for adopting people away from who've come from traditional vehicle fleet. Like I just think that the single motor makes efficiency options less available by committing to a front motor or a back motor, depending on a number of things. When it's like, when I think that the break even analysis and the interest in it, because Tesla's gone through the whole spin of trying to do a single motor, and they're like, no, we canceled it, there wasn't enough interest. And now, whether you take that to be there wasn't enough interest from people who were looking to purchase, or there wasn't enough interest in the form of reservations and interest that made it worthwhile for Tesla to make an entire separate manufacturing line or a change for certain cars so that it could do the single motor ones. I just feel like it's kind of written out there. It's an efficiency thing about the simplicity of my vehicle is, I've got the dual motor and they activate in certain conditions. When I go off-roading, they stay active. But for my everyday drive, it basically just gets the car going and then lets it coast on the front motor. And I think that the coasting on the front motor is great because I have the other motors working in unison with all of them. And I just think that I'm not saying that you couldn't like have the possibility. I mean, I would imagine I think somebody's out there has done this. You take a Model 3 with like a single motor and you just like start stripping down the weight of just anything that's unnecessary. Like, get rid of the back seats, get rid of a bunch, and you end up with the zippiest little bastard on a single motor you could ever get your hands on. But that was the trade-off. You had to get rid of that weight because the way the motors work, the DC motors work, it only has so much horsepower. So that's why two motors are better than one, because the vehicle is always going to weigh above X.
Right.
If you can get below that, sure, a single motor would definitely make it nice and zippy. I mean, most people, they expect a full-featured vehicle, and they're at a certain weight.
Kind of throws out a question saying, couldn't Tesla do this with a software update, giving like what Chase was saying, having the option of turning off a motor or two motors depending on the car, but really? Where it can go into like an eco mode, because I can see that with the Cybertruck. If I was just looking, if I'm on a road trip and I'm just looking for efficiency, and where you can sit there and say, hey, can I turn off one of the motors? Will that help increase my range? I don't know, but maybe that would be something that'd be kind of cool.
I think it's something that's kind of cooked into the hardware software interface, that if they incorporated enough to make it so that they always would have some software control over how the motor functions, then maybe they could introduce like eco modes to previous vehicles. I mean, you'd think that they would have wanted to leave that as an option, but I'm just imagining whatever the hardware was, it was kind of, it might have just been as simple as, look, we got to, again, engineering choices, like we got to only have this option, and this option. We've got a comfort mode, which allows 85% less power, but that's it. Because if we had to go below that power output, we would have to have a different type of interface device or something, an entire second system that it would roll to. We don't know. We're not in the room making those decisions. And again, I think that Tesla's done what they did. I remember distinctly, like when they brought in the comfort mode, it was because people were like complaining the Model S was like too fast. They were like, the standard mode is still scaring my grandma. Is there another mode? And they're like, yeah, I guess, sure, we'll put in a super slow as, who is this guy? Like this, it was like just like a comfort mode. That was just, bleh. It was, okay, fine, we did that much for you. But, going beyond that, I'm not sure what available.
It's like the Model 3 performance. You're even in standard, it's basically the same as the Cybertruck dual motor was. But if you put it in like the insane mode, and then it's like the Cyber Beast, it's just crazy. What makes me think, so back on the single versus dual motor, because not to bring up your favorite Mach-E, but another one that's kind of competing with Mach-E is coming up from Chevy. Chevy has their new Blazer EV that I'm trying to figure out, but it looks like they have two versions. They have an all-wheel drive and a rear-wheel drive version. The all-wheel drive is a dual motor, so I'm assuming the rear-wheel drive is going to be a single motor, but they're also toting like a longer range with that single motor. It's also much lower horsepower. It's like 300 and some horsepower, so it's not anything you're going to zip around and have a good time with, but still toting like a longer like 330 range with it. I think it's fair. It's a fair assessment to see if like that might be where these conventional automakers might be able to win out people. You're good. Like win people overall, like switching over to an EV, be like, well, it's not as fast as a Tesla, but it can go just as long as your gas car, and they're not having to like put 4 motors into it, so they can actually still sell it for 40,000. I think it could be a good thing.
I wanted to get into the earnings call from today.
Oh, yes.
I know we're running out of time, but we could kind of maybe hit some talking points. But one of the things that I noticed from the earnings call that kind of popped out to me was the fact that they're stating that their cost of goods when you average it out, per vehicle is down to about 35,000, which is exciting because that means that they're reducing the cost of production, and that then translates to reduced cost of vehicles, right?
I wonder if Sandy Monroe would agree with that, though.
I would say that again.
I wonder if Sandy Monroe would agree with that, because that's he's got the real dollars and cents of that.
Oh, I'm sure he does. You're the connect. Why don't you get him on the phone for get him on?
We'll phone Interbeck and be like, get him on FaceTime.
Yeah, there you go. But the thing is that and they talked about it on the earnings call where they're trying to the idea is to get that cyber cab under $30,000, and if their average cost of goods at this point is 35,000, I mean they're getting there. So that's something that's pretty exciting. Another thing is they talked about again. Will, we're talking about the earnings call now, but they're talking about how they're staying consistent. I know it was only a few weeks ago, but they're staying consistent that 2025 is going to bring California and Texas the ability to have these robo taxis out on the road. I also saw on the earnings call that they were talking about the fact that right now up in the Bay Area, they're already running some tests with them. I believe they stated that there's a driver or a person in the vehicle just kind of monitoring it, but that they're having the software and the app in the testing phases. So that's something that's pretty cool.
I can see it. We've already seen, even in Austin, Waymo's trying to like beat them to market. They're everywhere now. Yeah,
LA. I know in LA they're all over the place as well. They have to, right? If they want to be competitive. I mean, but the problem, I mean, I don't want to say the problem. I mean, they're doing their part, right? And I'm all about it. But you can't beat, what are they saying, billions of miles that Tesla has
with data
in their data. Yeah, it's just that's their advantage. That's their advantage, is that they have that much data on roads to really push this forward. They not just talking about it, but to actually do it.
Right. But Waymo's still using LiDAR.
They are, yeah.
That's really the A to B kind of test. Like billions of data versus LiDAR. This is really the true test. Which I think Tesla is just like, just bring it. They're wanting to like challenge it. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I wouldn't bet against Tesla in that regard. I mean, I don't think you're gonna beat them on that. Another thing that Elon touched on the earnings call was the Roadster. Something that I've been saying forever. I don't know if it's actually going to be a production vehicle
next year, hopefully.
But that's what they're saying. They're saying that. So Elon's specific quote says, "I'd like to thank our long-suffering deposit holders. The Roadster is not just the cherry on the cake, but also the icing on the cake. We're close to finalizing the design." So, I mean, it sounds like it's still something that they're pushing, that they're looking to put out, and release. I just know that there's going to be a lot of influencers that are going to be expecting that free Roadster. So I wonder how that's going to work out. But I guess
give them an influencer edition or something.
Well, they're supposed to get free. They're supposed to get free ones, so that's the thing. But I guess one thing on the earnings call also we talked about before the show started, they have an excess of $33 billion in cash. So I think Tesla, if there's a company out there that can hand out, 50 to 100 or whatever ends up being free Roadsters, I guess they're the ones that can do it.
They can afford it. They're growing. This. They're not only just cash, but ever since 2022, they're buying bonds as well. Like they're doing very well as a company. And so it's like if any Tesla Q, people are listening, you could just kind of flip sand at this point because it's good value even in where it is. If not, it's not even priced in for all the AI stuff. So I think it's going the right direction.
100%. No, they're definitely a healthy company at this point.
Don't mention Tesla Q. Then they're going to come in here. I'll deal with Cyberstuck. I don't know if I want the Qers.
I'm not certain that Cyberstuck is actually funded by Tesla Q.
Look, it's probably
it probably is. If I had to guess,
it sucks. Yeah.
But the other thing they also mentions that Cybertruck was profitable within less than a year of starting production. So that's huge.
Yeah, that's.
But how much of that was because of the Foundation Series upcharge? So I don't know.
Yeah, they built it. They built it in. Their profit was there 100%, and they pushed that as long as they could. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's anything specific that you guys want to talk about from the earnings call. Those are kind of the initial, just kind of takeaways. I haven't dived fully into it all, but those are kind of the headlines that I seen and I read. But nonetheless, my takeaway was they're doing well. And, if the Cybertruck sales continue to be what they are, they're just going to be that much better in, 6 months, a year from now and beyond. So, not to mention 2025 is going to bring the robo-taxi to see what that's going to do. We're going to have robots giving us massages in a few years. So.
Or they'll be like controlled by like telecommunications, and that dude will give you a massage.
Randy exactly. Down the road, is it?
Hey, Randy. I am not Randy. I am the future.
All right. I think it's just fair telling. It was definitely overall positive. Tesla's still up 12% overnight. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just an example, or direct reflection of the earnings call and how well that went and the profits that they're showing, it's just it's a good thing. So anybody that has Tesla stock, they're happier in it.
What it shows is like how much it's kind of switching off of all the hate, because really that's what the hate does is drive the price down. And like, oh no, and it needs to be back up to where it really is. So that's where you get those really sharp reactions.
One thing before we kind of start wrapping this all up, I forgot to mention that Elon did state on the earnings call, if there's a chance that hardware 3 does not achieve a safety level that allows for unsupervised full self-driving, if that turns out to be the case, we will upgrade those 2 for those who have bought hardware 3 FSD for free. So that is
wonderful news.
Yeah,
that is absolutely wonderful, because that has been a point of consternation for so long, because hardware 2, hardware 1, even like nobody knew. Everybody was like, yeah, they're selling FSD, but they're not telling people if it can do FSD.
Mm.
So everybody was wondering when they were going to be like, look, there's like 4 different versions out there now. Like, are you going to honor it, or do I have to buy something from you again to get this to work?
Exactly.
So the fact that they just went ahead and said, yeah, hardware 3, you've got the upgrade path. And I imagine that they got to analyze it. And if they still have vehicles on the road with hardware 2, then that's another question that they have to deal with eventually. But
that's my question, because it's like, if I had $1 million, I'm going to go buy a fleet of Model 3s and Model Ys that I want to turn into an FSD fleet. In part of them are like hardware 3. Like, what's the logistics of them getting that switched over, and is it going to be like even timely, even worth it to try to make that bet?
Yeah, no, 100%. But that's a good thing for anybody that's out there that has a vehicle with the hardware 3. So I'm glad to see that Tesla is going to be at least willing to.
It's been this albatross around their neck. I mean, they built this company based on the idea of, no, we are going to be the first ones to full autonomy. That was like their whole thing, the gauntlet. They were just the swagger that walked into the room, be like, yo, we got electric cars, and they drive themselves. See you at the after party. Boom. That was it. But the fact that it's lingered for so long, and I mean, people have not really, I mean, we've seen now in the last couple of years really significant growth on what FSD can do that hadn't been there for a long time. So I think that, we're kind of squeezing the toothpaste tube. We're getting that last little bit, and it's just pushing things forward as far as FSD is concerned.
Totally.
And toothpaste, I guess.
100%. Let's get into the wrap of the week. Unfortunately, this is, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but it's not a Cybertruck, but this wrap I am in love with. Let's go ahead and pull this up. This is
this is like
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse
exactly
kind
there
of thing.
You hit it on the head.
It's funny that I'm wearing the Rooster Teeth shirt today, but this actually reminds me of this of one of the owners is wrap that he hit on his Tesla. It was a Borderlands 3 wrap, and I bet I can find it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this thing's just so cool. I would 100%, if I had like a Model 3, like I would love to get like a Model 3 Performance and do a wrap like this. That would be, this thing's just cool. I like it. And then, once again, I spy with my little eye. You guys see the Robo bus in the back? Yes. So, sorry, bad joke. But I like this wrap. This is a really cool wrap.
It looks hot.
Yeah, another innovative, creative idea that someone has done that I applaud them. So
I like it.
Yeah,
I just shared. Yeah, Bernie Burns had his kind of in a very similar vein, but this was like early. This was back in like 2014, 2015, somewhere in there.
Yeah, this is older. Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. This is like an early edition, right? Like the first guy to do it. It seems like, and then the other one they like took it to a whole other level. The amount of lines that they have on it. Yeah,
rip Rooster Teeth.
So
I used to actually work there. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
But all right, guys. Well, once again, everybody in chat, LJ, Hunter Biden, Hugo, Bill, Jay, who am I missing here? Mark, everybody that was in chat today. We appreciate you guys coming in each and every week. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.